It is the 8 p.m. primetime newscast on Legacy Development TV. Thanks for taking the rendezvous with us. On our headline, the role of the church in sustainable peace building has been described as one of the remedies to the ongoing socio-political crisis in Cameroon. Men of God have advised their peers to intensify efforts in contributing to peace building. Development of this story and more right ahead. Thanks for staying with us, televiewers. As you heard in our major story, the role of the church in sustainable peace building has been described as one of the remedies to contributing to peace in the ongoing socio-political crisis in Cameroon. Men of God have advised their peers to intensify efforts in contributing to peace building. Details in the following report.
Going by an article released by the World Council of Churches in 2018, peace has to do with the happiness, health, security, well-being, and life of mankind. At the center of this, the role of the church in sustainable peace building is primordial.
Well, the role of the church is so great. Why? Because if at the end of the day, the perpetrators of the disturbance and the force of the government come to sign a peaceful resolution, there is still a lot of work to be done as far as framing the minds of the persons. The church has a very great role to play in the deliverance and psychological re-evaluation of these persons by preaching the message of love, peace, and why not the message of tolerance within the confines of the church.
In recent times, the church in Cameroon has been faced with a series of peace-threatening activities aggravated by the persistent socio-political crisis in the country. Many religious leaders decry that spiritual activities have greatly been paralyzed, thus affecting the church greatly.
Peace goes a long way. For example, let's look at some case studies in Cameroon today in Southwest and Northwest region. Back in the days, we used to have activities like outdoor campaign, crusades as we call it. We used to have activities like all night where people go for night vigils and they pray throughout the night. Such cannot happen again today. You can't have an outdoor crusade program in Bamenda. You can have an outdoor crusade program in Boya that will go through the night for fear of gunshots, for fear of stray bullets, for fear of an incident, kidnaps and all whatnot. So the role of peace is so important.
Amidst these, opinions hold that there is a need for the church to tighten up strategies in rebuilding the spiritual well-being of the population.
I believe that the church has played a great role so far, but we need to upgrade because prayer on itself is not enough. We have to start preaching on the pulpit the message of peace. We have to follow models like Desmond Tutu. We have to follow models who are able to frame the minds of people, maybe through campaigns of outdoor speaking, one-to-one talking, visiting of families, not just to give them food or to help them, but to go a long way of bringing up their minds. So I believe that we have to go a major way, not just preaching on the pulpit, but reaching out at our members one-on-one basis in our respective churches.
While it is expected that the church be at the center of sustainable peace building in the society, the population is reminded of the words of God in Matthew 5 verse 9, which states that blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God.
Human rights violation has been noted to have been some of the effects of the ongoing socio-political crisis in Cameroon. In the following commentary, our reporter Mike Nefonise decries the effects of the crisis on the population and says that more action still needs to be taken in order to remedy the situation.
Human beings have the right and freedom to express their views and emotions regarding a particular situation. But these rights, however, need to be expressed, taking into consideration the rights of others. Since the advent of the Anglophone crisis, one has witnessed a descendancy of human rights abuses, increased dehumanized treatment, and the violation of the rights of women and girls which is said to be on the rise. This is vividly captured in the fact that during crisis period, women are more vulnerable as many have been displaced as a result of the Anglophone crisis. Some, in some cases, are taking refuge together with children under deplorable conditions with little or nothing to eat, with many almost becoming beggars in their own land. What an irony! The ongoing socio-political crisis in Cameroon has equally created a fertile ground for criminals to emerge, kidnapping innocent citizens, demanding unimaginable ransoms. All this paints a vivid picture of human rights abuses that has been given birth to by the socio-political crisis. To add more salt into the injury, education, which is one of the fundamental rights of every human dignity, has been under threat for 3 years and counting in the 2 English-speaking regions of the country. Children are deprived of the freedom of education, thereby forcing them to pay for crimes they have never committed. In the same vein, the health sector has been affected as some hospitals in some interior areas have been burned down, thereby depriving people of sufficient medical attention. A smooth economy is equally a sad story, as many can no longer carry out their economic activities peacefully. This has led to economic hardship that can be visualized in the faces of many. However, playing the blame game is not the concern of this reporter, but telling the story as it is while re-emphasizing that something needs to be done and be done fast for peace to return in the 2 English-speaking regions of Cameroon.
Michael Nefonise ending that report. You are on to the 8 p.m. primetime newscast on Legacy Development Television, televiewers, and we are bringing it to you live from our studios here on the hills of Sopor. On to other news, Cameroonian citizens have been told that despite the persistent socio-political crisis in Cameroon, peace, dialogue, and social cohesion remains the only means or the true means in seeking for lasting solutions to the crisis. In an exclusive interview granted LDTV today, a UNESCO Peace Ambassador for Cameroon, Bate Tabenyang Alain, expressed his views on how peace can be achieved.
Peace in the general sense, we talk about 3 concepts: the presence of harmony, justice, and equality or equity. Now, when you look at the indicators of peace in society, look at the presence of good governance, the presence of collective participation in community projects, the presence of freedom of press. Because before you start talking about managing peace, it means that there have been an existence of conflict. For genuine peace management to be actually effective, there are 3 approaches to manage peace. We have dialogue, mediation, and negotiation. Dialogue is actually the first frame. So in Cameroon context, the 2 parties must come together. The 2 parties must understand the need for peace. The 2 parties must understand that it's high time that they come together, because the effects of the conflict are already rampant. We can talk about loss of human life, loss of properties, material things. We can talk about loss of particular opportunities given to some people. Many people have been crippled. Where dialogue actually fails, that's when mediation becomes possible. Where mediation does not succeed, that's where negotiation becomes possible. Now, dialogue cannot be possible without the 2 parties understanding the problem first. Because before there's any conflict, there are always grievances. There are always arguments. Now, when these grievances are accumulated, they go to a level where it becomes violent. Civil organizations, human rights organizations, individuals to rise up and talk about peace. And I would like that peace education should be treated as one of the courses or one of the subjects in the curriculum, both at the primary, secondary, and tertiary level. Peace education should be given high priority now. Peace, first of all, begins from within. So if the individual does not have peace, then it can turn off from being an individual to a collective sort of disagreement. So first of all, it must begin from within. And it cannot begin from within if we don't make sure that there's peace education in Cameroon. And how do we go about it? It needs collective participation. There's time for all the youth to rise up and stop blaming 1 or 2 parties, but starting to take responsibility for their actions.
It is on this note we have come to the end of the 8 p.m. primetime newscast on Legacy Development TV. Televiewers, we leave you with a reminder of our major story. The role of the church in sustainable peace building has been described as one of the remedies to the ongoing socio-political crisis in Cameroon. Men of God have advised their peers to intensify effort in contributing to peace building in Cameroon. Thanks for taking the rendezvous with us and keep watching Legacy Development Television. Have a blessed evening.